what we have here is something rather remarkable. The Burland Center for Research at the Bermuda College was created by the Burland Collection Committee to celebrate and honor the island's greatest writer. Brian was a critically acclaimed author from a place that didn't have or does not have yet a tradition of this kind of writing.
I think he's unquestionably the best prose writer, the best novelist that's come out of Bermuda so far.
For us here in Bermuda, Brian is in a sense the father of what is going on now. He gives Bermudian literature a kind of gravitas.
He's on a level with somebody like Timothy Findlay or John Updike in the United States or Kingsley Amis in the United Kingdom.
He inducted as a Fellow of the Royal Society of Literature.
Noel Coward was somebody who admired him very much.
In general, Bermudian literature is about the nature and about the sea and about the sunshine. Then we get something like what Brian writes, and it's completely different to what we're accustomed to.
It's not just pink sand and blue waters, which is wonderful, but like it's Brian Burland, which is tortured at times and difficult and interesting.
We tend to kind of look at the beauty and not the society, and what Brian did was look at the society.
His writing provides a huge insight into Bermudian society and Bermudian life.
He focused on Bermuda during the 60s and 70s and the cultural aspect and the economic aspect and some of the taboo stuff that we don't really want to talk about in Bermuda history and still don't want to talk about.
The issues of race, issues of history, issues of how we became who we are.
The uniqueness of his voice, the voice of someone who came from a privileged background, who nevertheless identified entirely with those members of the society who did not have that privilege.
He wanted Bermuda to be inclusive, not exclusive.
One of the most important things Brian Burland did was give Bermudians permission to explore these areas.
He had a lot to say about racism in Bermuda, about class barriers, about the struggles of young men.
He wrote extensively.
There must have been something in his mind that told him to keep everything.
You actually try and figure out how he found the time to actually write the amount of stuff he's done.
We wanted to do something special, make this a focal point for the Brian Burland Research Center. And we approached Graham Foster, Bermuda's renowned artist, and asked him if he would be prepared to do a mural.
This mural is based on 4 of Brian Burland's books. He's a very descriptive, powerful writer, which made my job of translating his work from the narrative to the visual fairly easy. Burland's a phenomenal writer, and what I've tried to do with this mural is to get people excited about his work and hopefully encourage them to read, explore, and study his books.
One of the things that has been very exciting for the students that we have had is their delight at seeing the raw material.
A wealth of information. I mean, I think he wrote just about every single thing that he ever thought, or it would seem that way from the boxes and boxes of stuff in the center.
His process was relentless.
When I walked into this space and I saw, the MasterCards and the manuscripts and the drafts and just the endless work and the commitment to create it.
He lived, slept, and breathed writing.
The MasterCards are really, it's amazing to see them and you're like, oh, so that's how he did it. There's often this element of getting behind the screen.
With the research center, we got to look into his journals, his mind, his way, his thought process of writing.
We don't just see the final product, we see the process. And this is something that the digital age has actually lost. He kept all of his drafts. So that is something very rare.
We can learn a lot by actually seeing how writers do go about doing their craft, and that's powerful.
We have been working with this material for the past 4 or 5 years, and we're nowhere near. Nobody has read everything in the vault, nobody.
There are 5 unpublished novels sitting there in manuscript, crying out to be read.
There's a lot left there that hasn't been looked into that should definitely be reviewed.
There's also a great deal of correspondence about his life and about his career.
Just ask your computer, well, when was Queen Elizabeth I born? And Siri will just answer you. This is a different kind of research. This is hands-on research of material that people have not seen before.
We need not only the students to write the papers, we also need academics tell us more about them as well to do the studies, because there's so much to learn.
We need researchers so that the revelation that we have in his books, we can find that whole hinterland that has not been revealed. A few weeks ago, we had a visitor, a Bermudian writer called Paul Madden, who has taught at Leeds University and Queen's University, Belfast. And he said, graduate students would kill for this kind of stuff. We also had a visitor from Oxford University, and he said exactly the same thing, that there's a treasure trove here.
This should be offered to more people, to be honest, because it's a segment of information that not many people even realize exists.
So I was excited to find out that it was here, and I hope that more people actually delve into it and explore it.
So if you're interested in Bermuda sociology, Bermuda literature, Bermuda history, there's literary publishing, the struggles of writers, all of those things are in a sort of a wonderful bouillabaisse.
The whole point of PhD work, for instance, it's supposed to add to human knowledge. That's what the PhD is about. There's a lot here that could do just that. And the Brian Burland Center for Research at the Bermuda College is open to all for the study, research, and celebration of Bermudian literature.